Good morning, everyone. My name is Todd Eames. I'm from just outside of Binghamton. I grew up in Binghamton, but I live in the town of Vestal now. I'm very happy to be here. I think it's only my second time I've been here. But it was a great drive this morning. Like after the storms and the heat waves, it was just nice to just see a calm clouds. I'm not a good note taker. I learned that I understand best things through conversations. And this doesn't work for everything, though. I have a degree in accounting, and last year I retired after 30 years of being an auditor. But none of my accounting or auditing skills are very conversational. My time in those classes, in my accounting classes, I was just brooding my way through and memorizing definitions as I learned the language of accounting. I bring this up as I wonder about differences in the details across the four Gospels. Is it because one author didn't get to hear everything because of where they were in the crowd? Maybe he had to use the restroom and missed a point or something. Maybe he was just not good at taking notes like me, so then at the end of the conversation, he went back to write it all down, and he didn't get it all. I know that there are more scholarly reasons why they differ, but I think my reasons are plausible too. The disciples and the authors of the gospel were human. Today's gospel reading has Jesus sending out 70 people to every town and place he intended to go. And in the prior chapter, in Luke 9, it describes Jesus sending out the 12, which we assume means his disciples. And Jesus gave the 12 power and authority over all demons as well as to cure diseases. Matthew 10 has a similar telling about the sending of the 12, as does Mark 6. Nowhere else in the Gospels, though, can we find Jesus sending a small army of folks, these 70 people in today's gospel. In all of the stories, including both in Luke's sending of the 12 and today's sending of the 70, Jesus provides them very similar instructions and cautions as well. I actually think the version described in Eugene Peterson's The Message is rather relatable for me. This is hazardous work. You're like lambs in a wolf pack. Travel light. Comb and toothbrush and no extra luggage. Don't loiter and make small talk with everyone you meet along the way. That would be a problem for me. When you enter a home, greet the family. Peace. If your greeting is received, then it's a good place to stay. But if it's not received, take it back and get out. Don't impose yourself. Stay at one home, taking your meals there, for a worker deserves 3 square meals. Don't move from house to house looking for the best cook in town. That would be me. When you enter a town and are received, eat what they set before you, heal anyone who is sick, and tell them God's kingdom is right on your doorstep. When you enter a town and are not received, go out in the street and say, the only thing we got from you is dirt on our feet, and we're giving it back. Did you have any idea that God's kingdom was right on your doorstep? And for the 70, Jesus' expectation and direction is much more straightforward. Whereas he has the 12 fighting demons, the 70 just have to tell everyone that the kingdom of heaven is near and they can heal the sick. They're to lay the groundwork for the arrival of Jesus. That's the kingdom of heaven is near. In all of these towns and villages that they visit. So that's the what and the how for their impending risky mission of lambs among wolves. Jesus also tells them the why. The harvest is great, but the workers are few. Jesus has a lot of work to do, and not enough time to do it, apparently. Anybody here feel how Jesus might feel? Just give me an amen. Amen. Jesus needs help. Think about that. If Jesus is the Son of God, God incarnate, the Word become flesh, if Jesus is even 1/10 of what billions of people have believed for 2 millennia, he shouldn't need anyone's help. So why does he need help? Jesus Christ heals the sick, restores the blind, makes the deaf hear, restores life from the dead, and even conquers death himself. Why would he need the help of the disciples or these 70 others? They're rookies compared to him. If Jesus is the physical manifestation of an all-powerful, all-knowing, all-loving creator of all that was, is, and ever will be, why does he need help? By the way, you've probably heard enough sermons to know that Jesus isn't speaking to just those 70 that day. He's also speaking to each one of us individually and all of us as a society today, too. So he not only needs their help then, he also needs our help now. Again, why? Why does Jesus need our help to heal the sick, restore sight to the blind, and make the deaf hear, and restore life from the dead, and even conquer death itself? Why does he need us to help with all that? Because that is not the point. You're thinking, wait, what? Huh? Did I nod off? I think I might have just derailed the train of thought that I thought I was driving. Todd, did you just say that Jesus' miracles are not the point? Or did you just reverse yourself on Jesus needing our help? Yes. Does that help? My faith tells me that Jesus does not need our help. He did not need the help of the disciples or the other 70 either. Even though he did not directly come out and say, I need your help to them, he did say in that metaphor of the harvest, that needing more workers, that more people were needed to do the work. But Jesus does not have some holy honey-do list with a series of miracles ready to be checked off when completed, or an inventory of names of people he needs to save. His work is not the work. Even if we were endowed with divine powers to cure disease, that those we cure would still get sick. Jesus himself had the power to raise Lazarus from the dead. Yet, Lazarus still died. Not that the practice of medicine at all is pointless, but that was not the point of Jesus' ministry. With the wave of his holy hand, Jesus could have cured all disease in the world at once. But that is not the help he is looking for. Instead, what Jesus couldn't do then and can't do now is create and nurture relationships among us. That is up to us. Always has been, always will be. Jesus' ministry was not some circus sideshow to show off miracles here and there. His ministry was not about strutting around slinging divine power across the countryside. His entire ministry and purpose for being made flesh was and is to foster relationships among us and us with God. In fact, he straight up tells us that is the greatest commandment, to love God and to love your neighbors. Again and again throughout the Gospels, Jesus is showing us how he unconditionally loves his neighbor. What if the miracles that Jesus performed was his way to show us to love one another with all we have? Jesus is God as human, so of course he can perform all the miracles, but to him, they are simply the best he can do. That's pretty amazing, the best. What he does is all he can do for that blind man. What he gives is all he can give the deaf. What he shares is all he can share with that woman at the well that we might have heard about. And these are just a few ways of how Jesus showed his disciples and how he shows all of us to love our neighbor. Jesus not only goes all in, he expects nothing in return. Never. Time and time again, he implores those he healed to not tell anyone. Unconditional love for your neighbor means totally altering our plans and path, to go above and beyond in caring for people without ever expecting anything in return. The way Jesus talked about it, loving your neighbor is wholly inconvenient, wildly selfless, and nearly impossible to do well all the time. There's an amen there, too. This story, as told in Matthew 10, tells us Jesus told his disciples before sending them out, "Don't imagine that I came to bring peace to the earth. I came not to bring peace, but a sword. I have come to set a man against his father, a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. Your enemies will be right in your own household." This reflects Jesus knowing how his teaching and ministry upends what were the traditional beliefs of the time. The idea of loving your neighbor was not new to the ancient Jewish people. Leviticus 19 is central to the ethics of Judaism across its history. However, at the time, neighbor was construed to mean fellow Israelites. By including everyone in the expected circle of love, in fact, by removing any circle or limit at all, went hard against the grain of their tradition at the time and shook the very foundations of society. Fortunately, though, today, we get it. We understand, don't we? Do we? Do we know that loving your neighbor means caring for everyone? And I wrote that word out long, everyone. Do we know that loving everyone as you love yourself means loving to our fullest capabilities, without condition or expectation of anything in return? It's not a contract. Love is one of the most profound emotions known to human beings. Do we get that today? This way that Jesus talks and walks provides a wholly different lens to see each other through, doesn't it? Not only would this lens let us see members of the opposite political party as our neighbor, it would remove the need to have political parties at all. Not only would this same lens let us see the folks who are fleeing their homes and seeking refuge here as our neighbors, it would erase the artificial lines that we have created that separate us as countries and as people as well. This lens erases the ideas of enemies and replaces it with neighbors. Jesus sent people to preach love, make neighbors of everyone, erase lines that separate, eliminate tribes, and override political parties, and bring everyone under one belief: God is love, and we are made in God's image. That is the message that Jesus was pep-talking his people to spread. And I'm just passing it along to you. Love God. Love your neighbor. It's that simple, isn't it? Amen?